Stella's Meza. On today's episode, I will show you how to make peanut chicken stew and coconut rice. And then for dessert, we're going to be making some guava and cream cheese crescent rolls, which is something I developed. Now, for today's dish, it's very easy to make, very cheap or economical, and it is delicious and filling as well. Now, what we have is, I'll walk you over here to show you what we have. What we have is 1.5 pounds to 2 pounds of chicken that I cubed and parboiled. So I put 1.5 cups of water in this pan and then let it cook for 10 minutes, so to get rid of the pink. And then I drain the water, which is the chicken stock, and I put it aside. I set it aside over there. And then we have the spices. We're going to add some peanut butter in there. We have some spices in here to put in there. We're going to add some lemon juice, tomato paste, salt, ginger garlic paste, cilantro. And towards the end, as the chicken cooks and gets ready, we're going to put some spinach in there, just for some added flavor. And then we're also going to be making coconut rice, which is very simple to make. All it is rice that's been washed, soaked for 20 minutes and drained, and then cooked in some coconut milk and some salt, and that is simple. That's it. Now the house already smells good, and I just started. Now over here, I have 1 medium onion that's been finely diced that I wanted to start turning golden brown, and then we'll go ahead and add the ginger garlic paste, the spices, and we'll show you step by step. And for the coconut rice, you'll need 2 cups of 2 cups of rice that have been soaked, washed, and drained. And then you will need 2 cups of heavy coconut milk, and then you will need 2 cups of water, and then 1/2 cup of heavy coconut milk. And the reason why we do this, in Kenya, the way you cook it is they call it chewy, like a coconut milk. There's the first chewy, which is normally the very thick, like coconut milk. What we do, we have a device called a mbuzi, and it's a kind of low stool with a claw that has a grater at the tip of it, and you break your coconut and you grate it on there, okay? And then you put into this long, it's like a basket, a cylindrical basket that is made of reeds, and you put in the shaved coconuts in there, and then you pour on hot water, squeeze out the coconut milk. Now that's the first stew. That's the very thick coconut milk. And then additionally, you add some water onto whatever's left inside, the coconut that's left inside, and then you make a second stew. You squeeze out the water. Now, because most of the coconut milk has come out in the first squeeze, which is a first stew, the second stew is normally lighter. So what we do when we cook the coconut rice, you begin with a second stew, which is like a lighter coconut milk, and then towards the end, as you put the rice in there and it cooks, as the water goes down, as the coconut milk evaporates in there, cooks the rice, you add the first stew. So since we don't have mbuzi here, which is a device to grate the coconuts, and I do not have the tui, which is a thing to squeeze out the coconut milk, I just went ahead and used canned coconut milk. Now for this one, I have put here a whole can of coconut milk and then 2 cups of water, which is what I use to substitute for the second tui, which is what we'll cook the rice in. Now as this boils and the rice cooks and the water cooks down, I'm going to add the heavier coconut milk, which is what we use as the first squeeze out of the coconut. See how thick that is? Okay, so I'm going to put this on medium. I put this on medium heat. I'm waiting for it to boil, and then I will put in the soaked and drained coconut rice. And to it, let me add now some salt, and I use kosher salt, about 1.5 teaspoons to a tablespoon, because remember to taste it, because you don't want your rice to be bland. You want to be able to taste the salt in there, okay? And you just want to stir that around. That's just that coconut cream that you see up top. And as soon as it starts boiling, it's going to cook into that. So don't worry if it looks a little bit powdered, okay? So now our onion is starting to turn nice golden brown that you want. What I'm going to do now is add that ginger garlic paste. Now for all these measurements and ingredients, please check out my blog. It's www.stellasmeza.blogspot.com. Again, that's www.stellasmeza.blogspot.com. So now I put the ginger garlic paste in here because I want that taste of raw garlic to cook down with the onion towards the last stages of the onions turning golden brown, okay? You don't want to put them too early or else garlic's gonna burn, and that's not a good taste to have in your food. Okay. That's looking good now. Now, if for whatever reason it starts looking a little dry, just add a little bit of oil to the pot, just so nothing. It's a stainless steel, but I don't want it to burn, so I'm gonna add just a little bit of oil in there. Normally I use 2 tablespoons of cooking oil, depending on what it is, but for most of my recipes it's 2 tablespoons, no more than that. Okay, now I see it's starting to turn brown, so what I'll do is I've already added my ginger garlic paste. I'm going to add my curry powder and stir. Now this dish is popular across Africa. I know there's a version of it in West Africa. I even know of a version of it in, I believe it's Zimbabwe, but this is a Kenyan version, okay? And this is how we cook it at our house. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of that chicken stock, because the spice is starting to stick at the bottom just a little bit. There you go. And I'm going to turn this down a little to medium low. Okay? That smells so good. Alright. I'm going to add some coriander in there and stir. See, the onions are getting all thick, covered with the spices. Some cinnamon. Now, yes, you can cook savory dishes with cinnamon. It adds a great flavor to that, to your food, whatever it is you're cooking. Savory and sweet dishes. And then I'm going to add some chili powder. Now, this is a little bit on the spicy side, this dish. So that's why the nice creaminess and mellow flavor of the coconut is going to create great balance for the meal. Add that in there. I'll include all the spices in my blog. Alright, now here I have some tomato paste. I'm going to add that into the pot. Alright, and I'm going to take my chicken and I'm going to throw it in there. See, a little bit of that stock is in there. Make sure you get every piece. And then you're going to give it a stir. Turn that up again to medium. Now the aim is to coat these chicken pieces with all this good flavor of onions and spices. And I'm going to switch to a spoon. There you go. Now this does not take long to cook because remember, the chicken's we already pre-boiled it, so it won't take long. Just break the pieces down in there. And if you look over here to where let me clean this up. I hate a messy stove. If you look here to where the coconut water is, it's starting to bubble. And this is a perfect time to add the drained rice. So I'm going to come over here with my rice and then just put it in, drop it in there. Now the reason why we soak the rice for at least 20 minutes is to, you've seen dishes where the rice looks all nice and separated and fluffy. Soaking your rice helps with that effect, okay? So it helps always to do that. I have a friend who was complaining about, well, how come my rice always ends up mushy? And I told her, this is a trick you use. You soak it. Use basmati rice, first of all, if you can. To me, that's the best kind of rice there is. And then you soak it in water 20 minutes at least, drain it, and cook it. And you're all set. And remember, when you're cooking your rice, it's for each cup of rice, use 2 cups of water, or in this case, we're using coconut milk. So, rinse my hands. and I'm going to just give it a nice stir. So I'm going to stir, and I'm going to taste that water for salt to make sure it's salted the way I like it. I could use a little bit of salt, a little bit more. This is sprinkle. Let's see what I have. See, it's always easier to add, so don't put too much because it's always easier to add than to take out. Once you put in too much, that's it. You have to eat your rice like that. So make sure you do it a little at a time. Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to reduce this heat to medium-low, cover it and let it simmer until the water starts to reduce, and then I'll come back and add that heavy coconut milk in there. And then we're going to transfer it. We're going to let the water cook down some more, and then we're going to transfer it to an oven-safe dish. And I normally put mine at 250 degrees and let it dry out, okay? Let the water dry out for like 8 to 10 minutes. And then after that, I'll cover it up and just keep it on warm in the oven until we're ready to eat. Okay? So my chicken's coming along very well. What I'm going to do is I'm going to, let's see here. Yeah, I do have enough here. I'm going to cut this lemon, and then I'm just going to squeeze the juice in there. This also helps tenderize the chicken. Half a lemon, the juice of half a lemon. That was a juicy lemon. And good, there's no seasoning either. So add that in. Now we're going to put in the spinach last towards the very end because spinach cooks pretty fast. So we're going to add that towards the very end. Alright, I'm going to throw my cilantro in. I call it coriander in Kenya and in parts of Africa. Now make sure to keep an eye on your rice and occasionally come and stir, but don't be very gentle when handling your rice when it's cooking because you don't want to break the grains. Okay. Alright, so what I'm going to do is add that chicken stock. Now I'm not going to use a whole amount. I'll eye it and see how much, because I want some sauce, since it's rice, I want some sauce to go with it, to eat the rice with. I don't want it too thick. So I'll just eyeball it and see what the amount looks like in the pot. Let's take a look. Gently try and scrape those little bits of pieces from the sides of the pot. That's flavor. One in there. Add a little bit more, and then what I'll do is I'll add my peanut butter. Smells so good. Okay, peanut butter will join the party now. Let me take a little at a time. I don't want the taste of the peanuts to be overpowering. That's around a tablespoon and a half. So I'm gonna let that melt down. I'm gonna cover this, and when we come back, I will show you how to make our cream cheese and guava pastry. So don't be gone too long. We'll see you in a little bit. Welcome back. Right before the break, you left me cooking the chicken. I had already put the peanut butter, and then I went ahead and covered it and let it simmer. It's been simmering on medium-low for 15 minutes. Now, just to let you know, in case you want like natural, I use peanut butter that I got from the grocery store, but you can also make your own peanut butter. You can dry roast your peanuts, and I do mine unsalted, and then put it in the food processor, and then just let it go until it makes a nice like butter. Or there's if you're in Georgia by any chance, there's a grocery store called Ingles, and over there they will let you make your own peanut butter, nothing added, no sugar, no preservatives, nothing. So you just go there and pick the kind of nuts you want, and then there's a machine there to grind it for you. You can do that. So either you can use a peanut butter that you find in the store, you can use your food processor, or you can go, if you're in Georgia, Ingles. I'm not sure if Ingles is in other states in the South, but that's what you have. Now, I have it simmering here on medium heat, and I am going to add the spinach, okay? So you see what size I chopped it at? I just washed it and chopped it, and I'm going to start adding that in there. Now, I know it looks like a lot of spinach, but spinach or vegetables generally cook down quite a bit once they've been in the heat. So I'm just going to add a little at a time to see what amount I need. And I did not have to add any cornstarch. That's a trick I used to make a thick sauce, because the peanut butter gives the chicken a nice creamy consistency, and it's thick enough for me, so I don't need to add anything. So far I have about half a cup of spinach, and it's looking a little bit thick. I'll add one more handful, and then what I'll do is stir and cover, and then I'll check again and see if the stew looks too thick to where you really cannot pour it over the rice. I'll go ahead and add a little bit of water, say about a cup or 3/4 cups of water. Yeah, it's looking kind of thick. Well, I'll let it cook down a little and see what it looks like. So I tasted this, and it's perfect. It has that heat to it from the red chili pepper we put in there, and it has that nice creamy flavor, nice creamy texture from the peanut butter, and then it has that nice nutty flavor from the peanut butter as well. Okay, so I'm going to cover that. You see it's on medium-low. Let that simmer. Now, also before the break, you left me cooking the rice. Now, what happened is the lighter coconut milk cooked down. So what I did is I added the half cup of heavy coconut milk, and come closer and take a look. You can see the grains of rice are just single, all fluffy. And then what I did, I put it in this container. It's an oven-safe container at 250 degrees Fahrenheit. When I talk about temperatures when I'm cooking in my shows, it's Fahrenheit, because that's a measurement system that we use over here. So 250 degrees Fahrenheit, and I left it in there. I put the timer on for 8 minutes, and then when the timer went off, I just covered it and let it sit in there for a little bit. But I took it out because I'm about to put in my what do you call it? Guava cream cheese pastries. Now I have the oven heating at 350 degrees, and I'm going to move you over here and show you how to make it. Now, it's very simple what you need. I did not know this existed. This is guava paste, a block of guava paste. I did not know this existed until I went to the international aisle of the grocery store, which is why I found it, where the Hispanic foods are, or you can get it at a Hispanic food grocery store, and it's very inexpensive. It's a little bit over $1, and it tastes exactly like the guavas I used to eat growing up as a child. So this is what I'm going to be using today, and just regular cream cheese. You let it sit out at room temperature for a little bit just to make it easier to work with. Okay, and there you have it. And then I'm also going to be using this crescent rolls. I know this is a shortcut. I'm sure there's a way I could figure out how to make the pastry, but this is a shortcut. So we're going to be using this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the packages. Okay, that's not too cool now. I'm going to open this. I'm going to pry it open. Does not want to cooperate today. There you go. Finally progress. Okay. So I'm going to cut it crosswise. Okay. Make a couple cuts crosswise. So I'm going to do one. Make sure you use a sharp knife because it's kind of sticky. Here. We'll start with that for now. I'm going to sit here. I need something to wipe my hands with. Let's do this. Clean kitchen cloth. Okay. Then I'm going to open this back. Some kitchen shears over here. Okay, you're going to open that as well. Everything's sticky, but let me tell you something. This is delicious. It only takes 12 to 15 minutes to cook. I follow package instructions for the crescent rolls, but the flavor is incredible. Very, very good. Okay. Now remember, once you open this, it needs to be refrigerated. Just put it in like a Ziploc bag. Just make sure you cover it nicely and you put it back in the refrigerator. So I'm going to make kind of the same size strips cut across cut it crosswise. If I need more, I'm going to add more as we proceed. Okay. And I've used this to make so many things. Next time I do a breakfast or brunch episode, I'm going to show you how to use that to make some pancake balls with that in there. It's delicious. Okay, so we're going to open this. Now, this thing kind of explodes on you if you're not careful. And it always scares me every time, and I've done it hundreds of times. Alright. Okay, I'm going to transfer this. And if you see over here, I have a baking sheet with a silicone pad on it, and we're going to use that to bake it. You could use a baking sheet, put some parchment paper on it, and use that as well. Okay, there you go. I'm going to toss that to the side. Alright, so we're going to unroll this. We look for the starting line. There's one. Just very, very gently unroll it. See that? It's kind of dotted, and it guides you, shows you what to do. Okay, so there's one. I'm just going to take the wide end away from me, and from this I'm going to make a little slice, actually 2 slices. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sandwich a slice of cream cheese in between 2 slices of guava paste. See that? I'm going to do that. And then I'm just going to leave some space at the edge and hold it together and gently roll it towards me. Just roll it, roll it, roll it, roll it, roll it, just like the picture shows. And then kind of press it down, and I always press down the edges. That way when it cooks, none of the filling comes out. And then I put the seam side down. So I'm going to do one more, just for good measure to show you, so nobody misses anything. And then I'm going to throw these in the oven at 350 degrees for around 13 minutes, okay? So, again, cream cheese sandwich. Cream cheese in the middle, and then guava on the side. Roll it towards you. Kind of tightly roll so it doesn't come apart when it's baking. Push that down. Bring that flop over. And this flop over. Seam side down. See that? And give them space. Allow them space so they can cook nice and evenly and spread. So I'm going to keep doing this for the rest of these. I'm going to throw it in the oven, 350 degrees for 13 to 15 minutes, and then we'll be back to show you everything nice and plated. And I think I'll add a little bit more of water into that pot, around half a cup of water, just so the stew is not too thick, so we can spread it nice and even over the rice, okay? So don't be gone too long. Come back and join me, see what it looks like. Welcome back. Right before the break, our chicken was done, our rice was done, and I was throwing in crescent rolls into the oven, and I cooked them for 13 minutes at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Now I went ahead and served up everything, and I want you to take a look and see what we're working with, okay? The house smells incredible. There's that coconut rice right there, and then there's a chicken groundnut stew. You can see the sauce looks pretty thick. And then we have guava and cream cheese crescent rolls. Now that's an easy dessert to put together if you have unexpected company. It takes very little time. I always have a roll of those crescent rolls in my refrigerator and a block of guava and cream cheese in the refrigerator as well. So now we have everything together, and I went ahead and plated. So I am going to lift that up so you can see. I wish there's a way you could smell this. It smells so good. The house smells incredible. See that? And this is a balanced diet. See, there's already the spinach in there. There's your vitamins. You got the chicken protein, and you got your carbohydrates right there. And everything, if I was not to like show step-by-step instructions how to do this, everything together to cook and put together would take 30 minutes. That's really easy. You can do this during the week. Okay? So I'm salivating, and I'm going to stop that and dig in. Oh. Smells so good. I'm going to take a nice forkful. Let's see what we got. The chicken is fork tender. And then you taste the notes of the peanut. And then there's some heat from the cayenne pepper. And the rice, see? See how nice and fluffy it is? It's not all clumped up. It's delicious. The coconut. Here. Come closer. Feastine eyes, people. Delicious. And those crescent rolls, they're beckoning to me. Smell so good. I'm going to break one open and I'll show you what the inside looks like. So what I forgot to tell you before I threw it in the oven, you can either do an egg wash, which is 1 whole egg and a tablespoon of room temperature water. Mix that together, whisk it together, and then use a pastry brush to brush the top of it. Or once it comes out the oven, you can take some melted butter and brush them with it. And then you can sprinkle some sugar, put them in the oven at the same temperature you're cooking at for maybe some 3 to 4 minutes, just for the sugar to form a nice crust on there. So I'm going to open it so you see what it looks like on the inside. Look at that. The cream cheese and the guava mixed together. I'm going to take a bite. Oh my. That is delicious. Takes me back to my grandmother's, because we used to eat a lot of guava. She had a big guava tree. If you want more stories about some of these foods I cook, go check out my blog. It's www.stellasmeza.blogspot.com. That is incredible. So it's lunchtime here. Whole family's hungry. We're going to dig in. And I hope you stop by again next time and join me as I take your taste buds on another culinary safari. Thank you for joining me, and karibu.
Yeah, 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 yeah.